And now the Atlantic's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg.
I'm here with Tim Cook now. Tim, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks very much for inviting me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I wish that we had you at the live version of the Atlantic Festival, but I'm in a room with just stuffed with Apple products, so it's almost like you're here. But thanks for coming on.
Very much.
And I wanted to just jump right. I just wanted to jump right in and ask you something about the last couple of weeks in California, where you are. Tell us what you've seen and experienced of these fires over the last couple of weeks, and pivot, if you will, to what you think this means for climate change and climate awareness.
Yeah, the first responders have had quite a job over the last few weeks, trying to get the fires under control. A number of our employees and a number of other people had to evacuate, and some are still evacuated currently. So it's been tragic, and it's a reminder of how serious climate change is and what's at stake. Of course, for the rest of us that weren't evacuated, we have the air quality issue, and it's horrendous. You really don't want to go outside at all. But the people that have been on the front lines are where my thoughts mainly are, and the people that were evacuated, including the people that lost their homes.
You've been thinking about this issue for a long time, and Apple has been thinking about this issue for a long time. You think this will help people move into a new phase of understanding? And talk a little bit about what you and your company want to do about it.
I think the sum total of all of these, the wildfires in the West, that's essentially, burning millions of acres in the West. The hurricanes in the South at my hometown, the flooding that's taken place in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic region, all of these together, I do believe will get and convince the people that are not currently convinced about climate change. What we've been doing, and we've been doing this for a long time, a couple of years ago, after many years of work, we were able to run Apple on 100% renewable energy. And so this is a significant achievement that took place over many years. And what we're now doing is we've set 2030 as the date at which not only the internal portions of Apple would run at 100% renewable energy, but we want to do that same thing for the power that our products use after they're bought and the supply chain that makes the products itself. We want all of this to be carbon neutral. And so we're taking a very, very comprehensive view of our carbon footprint, really leading in this manner. And we're hoping that other companies join us and not wait for regulations that push us in that way.
Something you said just struck me. You said that maybe this will push some people who maybe aren't taking this as seriously to take it seriously. There's one person in mind, in my mind, who seems to be impervious to climate information, and that's the current president of the United States. I know that you spent a lot of time talking to him about various issues, and I let me put it this way: it seems to me that you and the president have slightly different temperaments and approaches to problem solving, and I'm curious to see if you've had the experience of being able to change his mind, or if you can characterize in any way what those exchanges are like. I think even just from the climate perspective, there are a lot of people who want to know if we're going to be able to see a shift in the way he thinks about those issues, especially after the fires.
Well, I kind of view the conversations that I've had as private conversations, so I don't want to talk about it in detail. But if you sort of back up from it, my whole philosophy, Jeffrey, is engagement. And I believe that it's much better to be involved, whether you're in agreement on an issue, or I think it's even more important to engage when you disagree on something. And so what we do at Apple is we focus on policy. We don't focus on the politics. And so it keeps us out of the sort of the daily scrum of politics and keeps us very focused on the things that that are very important to us. Some of those things are environment is very important. DACA is very important for us. We have over 400 employees that are in the company, and they are here on DACA. And my view is pretty simple on this: is they're every bit as an American as I am, and I want to see them taken care of. And I'd like this cloud that's been lifted, or this cloud to be lifted that's been hanging over them. There are many other things that are on our mind too, and they're including some that we work with the administration on it in agreement, like workforce training. I think one of the key issues of our future is, do we have the skills in the workforce to prepare for the future jobs, not necessarily current jobs, but for future jobs? Are we skating to where the puck is going to be? And this is an area that we've engaged in with the administration and have had some really good activities come out of it.
Let me ask you about another. 2020 has presented any number of challenges, COVID-19 obviously being possibly the primary. You're responsible for almost 100,000 employees in America in a lot of different states. How would you characterize the American response to COVID-19 so far?
Well, I can tell you how we've responded. We looked at ourselves in the mirror very hard and say, how can we help? And we turned the company upside down in every single area of the company and did something that we felt would make a contribution. So let me give you some examples on that. We have a supply chain team, and they're a world-class supply chain team. We'd never used it to source masks before, but we knew that there was a shortage of masks. And so we diverted some of our skills to finding, sourcing, and then donating over 30 million masks around the world. We also use our design team that knows how to look at things and find and create things in the simplest form possible. And we created a face shield because face shields were in shortage, and we donated over 10 million of those. We knew that test kits were in shortage. And so we looked at and we mapped out the supply chain in the test kit arena and found this great company that needed help in scaling. Well, we know how to scale. We didn't know very much about test kits, but we know how to scale production. And now there's millions of test kits coming out of this company. We knew that fake news was a problem. And so we have a special portion of Apple News that focuses just on COVID so that people can go there and feel good about that they're getting information from trusted sources. And so really all throughout the company, we ask ourselves the question, how can we help? And, didn't wait to be asked, frankly.
Right. I mean, let me just stay on this for one more second because it is so important. I appreciate your care and caution in talking about this, but you're a person, you're in practically every country in the world. You've seen countries that have responded very well to COVID-19. I don't think there are many people who think that the U.S. has responded to COVID-19. I'm wondering, just even from the perspective of an American citizen, if you could diagnose some of the problems that we've had over the past 6 months and not suppressing this virus.
I think this virus caught the world by surprise, Jeffrey, and it's significant. And I think there will be time for lots of lessons learned about things that we could all do better. And I hope that we take a hard look at that as we get on the other side of the virus.
Before I want to go to some big issues that you're facing, including issues about privacy and obviously some things that have to do with the future of your company. Yeah. But I'm curious about something because your company has a very interesting culture. You built recently one of the world's most elaborate and expensive office buildings, Apple Park. In order to cultivate spontaneous interaction with employees, serendipity and invention and creativity. I'm wondering what challenges you're facing right now as the manager of a very large company where no one is going to the office. I mean, tell me how you, as the manager of this operation, have dealt with this new reality. I think this might be a question that a lot of people who run things would be interested in hearing.
You know, we, like many others, we've been primarily remote since March. And so we've got 6 months under our belt now. We're still learning. I would say that I'm incredibly impressed with our teams and their resiliency. You can see from the announcements that we made this week with the Series 6 watch, with the SE watch, with the iPads, and a new service called Fitness Plus, you can see that we've continued on the innovation trail. I would tell you, though, Jeffrey, in all candor, it's not like being together physically. And so I can't wait for everybody to be able to come back into the office. I don't believe that we'll return to the way we were, because we found that there are some things that actually work really well virtually. But things like creativity and the serendipity that you talk about, these things, you depend on people kind of running into each other over the course of a day. We have designed our entire office such that there are common areas where people congregate and talk about different things, and you can't schedule those things. And so I think the vast majority of us can't wait until we can be back in the office again. Hopefully that occurs sometimes next year. Who knows exactly what the date may be. We've got about 10-15% of our population working today in the office. I'm in the office at different points during the week as well. But the vast majority, the 85-90% of the company, is still working remotely.
Let me turn to a couple of other issues quickly. I'm curious to ask you this. What bothered you more, the idea of being called to testify about antitrust issues before Congress, or being called to testify in front of Congress alongside Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook?
I think that that's an interesting question. I think that big companies deserve scrutiny. And I think that's not only fair, but important for the system that we have in America. And so I have no issue at all in Apple being put underneath the microscope and people looking and probing. And my hope is, Jeffrey, is that as people heard our story, and as they continue to hear our story, that it will become as apparent to them as it is to us that we have no monopoly. There is no monopoly here. We're in very, very competitive markets like smartphones and smartwatches and tablets and personal computers. These things are fiercely competitive. They're basically street fights for market share every day. And our strategy, our core strategy as a company, to make the best, not the most, that basic strategy will never produce a monopoly, because it is rare. It's very rare, almost impossible for the best to become the most as well. Somebody will choose a commodity product, and there's enough people that buy the commodity product that it will have more share. And that's true in all of the different fields we're in. So I'm hoping that people heard that and heard how we conduct ourselves, because this thing is very important to us. We always do what we believe is right and conduct ourselves with the utmost integrity and professionalism. And so I hope that came across, and that we can sort of unpeel from this investigation.
Right. Staying on this, on the general subject of companies you're grouped with, I get the sense, listening to Apple over time, that there's a certain level of resentment in being grouped in with social media companies. And I'm wondering if you could talk about your critique of some of those companies through the prism of privacy issues, because I know that's one of the baskets that you spend most of your time on, or a lot of time.
We see privacy as a basic human right, very fundamental human right. And from our point of view, if you look at it from a U.S. perspective, it is the foundation of which other freedoms exist. Freedom of expression, freedom of the press. It is so core, it's a core civil liberty. And without that one, we worry about the whole stack beginning to erode. And so forever, it's not something that I began, but since Apple was founded, we've always worried about people's privacy, because we saw the day, not exactly how it played out, but we saw that the digital world had the capability to destroy the privacy. And so I know we've been a bit on an island. There are more people coming on the island, which I'm very happy about. But we've made a set of different choices than some other companies have made. We don't develop the detailed profile of people. We think that that's something that people inherently don't want people to have. That there's basic information that should be kept personal for people, and so we have steered clear of that, and we've fought to keep it, and we'll continue to, because it's a core part of what our users want.
There's another moral issue that I wanted to raise with you, and you're a person who's obviously taken stances in your life, some brave stances, quite obviously. I'm wondering what keeps you up at night. Your most important partner, apart from the United States itself, the most important country is China. China has a very different kind of human rights record than the United States. They have concentration camps filled with Muslims. I'm wondering, talk about the complication of being a CEO that's dependent on countries that have very different policies and very different ideas about human rights and privacy, by the way, than the United States. I guess this is what keeps you up at night, or what compromises are you making that you chew over?
Jeffrey, we always look through to the user. The user is the center of our world, the customer. And so when I look at China, I see a significant number of users that love Apple product, and I want to serve them. And I do that whether I'm looking at China or a country in Europe or a country in Latin America. So we look through to the user, and we believe everybody should be treated with dignity and respect. It's a sort of our basic belief as a company, and I believe strongly, personally, that in a time where there is significant geopolitical tension, I mean any set of countries, not just the ones you mentioned here, is that one of the few things that people can get together on is doing business together. And so I think it puts even more pressure on business to be part of the link that holds things together. I think academia has a role there as well. But there are few these days. There are few things that really tie people together. And I'm glad that business is one of those, and I hope that it remains one of those and sort of steers clear of the politics.
One last question for you, and it's about you. You're running the world's most successful company. It's grown tremendously under your leadership. $2 trillion market cap. A smartphone that at least uncreative people like myself think, how many more things can they put onto this before they run out of room or run out of ideas? The question for you is, how long are you going to do this before you go find something else to do? I mean, are there markers that you have in your own life in terms of achievements at Apple that you say to yourself, okay, I think I might have done it, so I want to move on, declare success? And
I consider the privilege of a lifetime to be here in this role at this time. I love working with this team. I consider them family, and it's hard to explain, and it may sound like it's messaging or something, but it's not. It's deep in my heart is that I really love the people I work with. And currently it's tough to envision my life without that. And so we'll see. I'll at some point, of course, we all do something different. But at the moment, there's no place I would rather be than right here.
Does the 2 trillion number mean anything to you? I mean, it means something to your shareholders.
Well, they're not going to be very happy with what I'm going to answer this then, because it is not a fixation of ours. It is not a fixation at all. We don't follow the market cap of the company. It's not why we do what we do. From our point of view, what we want to do is make the world's best products that enrich people's lives. And so what turns us on is watching how our products are used out in the wild and whose life they're improving. That's what gets us up in the morning. I get up every morning and the first thing I do is read customer emails. I read about people who got a notification on their watch and found out they had a serious medical issue after reaching out to their doctor, and we prevented that, and it's prevented it from becoming a real issue. And so these are the things that drive us, and we think that if we do those well, if the user stays at the forefront of our mindset, if we make the best products, then we'll have a good business and our shareholders will be happy. But the stock price is a result of doing the focus on users and products the best, not focusing on the stock price as a primary focus. It is a calculatable result.
Tim, thank you very much for talking with us, and please stay safe.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be with the Atlantic and the civil rights history that the Atlantic has. It's a pleasure to be here.